Okay, so as it is, we should be live right
Okay.
now. We should be live right now. We're going to start the show. Um, I'm going to make a couple of differences here within the live video. So the show's going to be a little bit different today. Hi, you're with Luna Live Media Network. I'm Luna. Um, we set up an interview today to have some interviews with some people from the Gaza Camp in Jordan, and the show is going to change a little bit, but we still are going to bring you the story that was intended to be brought. Um, Before I start, I want to introduce it. This will be audio from Jordan, live from Jordan on audio only. We have Brother Siraj Davis with us. Siraj, are you there?
Yep, right here.
Okay, brother. Um, I'm going to put myself up where people can see me a little better because things are going to change. The show is changing just a little bit, and we will explain why. So let me put it up here where everybody can see me. You know, this citizen I'm a citizen journalist, and I take with the passion of the work that I do. And you're going to see it going on and off. Yes, Siraj, what we talked about before we started out live.
Uh-huh.
Yes, this is what it is. Okay, what you're going to do is you're seeing me live right now. You might see on the Ustream it go off and on. We will be back. We're not going to stop until we come on. So that if he goes off and then it comes back on, I really, I apologize for this. But I'm going to tell you right now, we have some information that's some people do not want out that we're going to be showing here today, and we will be showing it today, whether the live keeps going on and off or not. You're here with Luna. I am the founder of this Citizen Media Network and have the right to report and say what I wish, and we will do so today. We were supposed to have some guests from the Gaza Camp. They will not be here today. The thing is when issues that we will be bringing up are brought up, people are to be felt intimidated, and we're not going to be silenced. It's going to come out. We're not going to say any names. We will show you video of what has happened. The world of people have the right to know about what we're going to talk about today. And what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of a police brutality on the Jordan law enforcement side. To some citizens of the Gaza camp, Palestinians in the refugee camp there, and some of these victims of police brutality were underage. There are some things that are going to be shown to you today, so if you have small children, I would not advise for you to let them see. So this is an adult show. I'm giving a warning right now. Some of the things people may take offensive or think that is graphic. So if you have small children in front of your computer, maybe you want to have them go to the side. Siraj, I'm going to bring you in on this, if you don't mind.
All right.
I want you to go ahead, because you know you're there in Jordan, and give us a little bit of a background before we start with the videos to show people what's going on and to speak about what's been going on in the Gaza camp.
Well, as a human rights activist and former lobbyist for 5 years, I share the opinion that you just stated. I mean, when it's the truth and it entails human rights violations, we can't be silent. we're both obligated to report it.
Exactly.
So these videos come from the recent Gaza Camp incident, conflagration between residents of Al-Hadadi village, which are Jordanian, and Palestinian refugees in Gaza Camp. And the police were called and they picked a side. The Jordanian police picked a side. There are unconfirmed reports that Jordanian police were, maybe one or two, were egging on the fight and telling the Al-Hadidi Jordanian residents to vandalize and beat some of the people from the Palestinian camp. That's unconfirmed. I've heard two people state that. One of them is a very credible source, but I don't know if it's true or not. That's just, I'm getting information from them. But apparently the Palestinian refugees feel that the Jordanian police picked the Jordanian side. That is the perception that they have. And it deteriorated into the nadir of outright hostilities, changing from or transferring from a fight between Jordanians and Palestinians to a fight between the Palestinian refugees and the police. And to make a long story short, they imprisoned about 14 people, and of those 14, 9 were released. And in interviews with those 9, a lot of them are afraid to speak, but out of interviews of those 9, they all reported a form of torture or police brutality while incarcerated. Also, they report that the 5 remaining in jail are subjected to worse torture and worse injuries. And this is unanimous. This isn't just something from a few of them. It's pretty unanimous.
So then still being in jail, probably because they're not being released, is because they have injuries that maybe the Jordanian government does not want the public to see, you think?
I think that's a possibility. I can't confirm that.
But it is a possibility.
It is a possibility because a few of those 9 released mentioned broken bones, broken teeth, which was worse than the injuries that they sustained.
Yep. Okay. And give me 1 second, because this is Citizen Media, and I'm in my studio, and I have the TV on, and I don't want it to come out. I want to focus on this and not have to hear this. So give me 1 minute to turn this off. Mashi? 1 minute. Mashi, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so we have accounts of human rights violations and police brutality. So this is why we are here. As activists, and you watching, some of you may know how it is in the Middle East when things of this sort come up and the people want to speak out. There's not a freedom. They don't feel like they can have that freedom. We don't want to talk about on this today too, brother, because the thing is that people, should not have to be intimidated not to say anything. You shouldn't be afraid when something is done wrong to you to be able to come out and say it. Now, there was a misunderstanding today a little bit on the time frame. Yeah. But I am an activist who has spent 2 years in the Egyptian revolution myself. I'm not by any means ignorant to different issues and things that come on. So I know what's up. I have a feeling what's up.
It's good the fact that I like the fact that we did get the approval to show the videos of the injuries sustained, in addition to a couple of the interviews of the youth and others that were tortured.
Yes.
So the audience will be able to see with their own eyes exactly the evidence that we have.
Yeah. When you're ready to do
that. I also
that.
submitted a report. I submitted a report to various organizations of what I saw to the best accuracy and as honest as I could be, and maybe I could go through that briefly on
Yeah.
the show and explain exactly what transpired in Gaza Camp during the recent hostilities.
Yes. I think what we'll do is, if you're okay with that, we'll go ahead and we'll show these videos. There's no
Definitely.
need to sugarcoat this. As I said, if you have young children around you or in your computer, maybe you don't want to watch this or have them go away from your computer. But we are going to show it. And we're going to start off with the first one. This one is a 4-minute, okay? And it is translated, so you will know exactly what is being said. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
And this is a 14-year-old.
14-year-old child, yes.
Yes.
14-year-old child.
What's up? I'll take the video. You translate. Ask him how old is he?
قديش عمرك؟ 14 سنة.
How many days did he spend in jail?
كم يوم ضليت في لا جوا السجن.
9 أيام.
Did they torture him? تعذيب?
يس. تعذبت انت ايامها؟
ضربوه.
هي هيت.
Did they hit you?
وين ضربوك؟
بالمظفر بمركز امن المدينه وبالمحكمه.
جسمك وين اجى الضرب؟
على رجلي وعلى وعلى.
And legs and face and hand. Yes.
Okay, did he 10 days.
For 10 days.
Did they insult him or his family?
سبوك او سبوا عائلتك؟
سووا علي غلطه.
Yes, a lot of insult.
What was the worst insult? The worst insult against him or his family?
سبوك يعني مسبات كثير كبير يعني.
سبوا علي قال لي عن الصوت ضمه يلعن ابوك يا ابن الكلب اكل من يوكل.
يعني مسبات is a very big insult in this society.
So 10 days. Why did they put him in jail? Did they have any dalil?
يعني
Evidence?
هم حطوك في السجن كان معهم دليل انك انت اصلا كنت تطبع واحد شافك منهم.
لا ما كنتش اطبش.
He didn't conflict or do anything in this conflict or this clash. In that clash.
If I put his story in the newspaper, I will keep his name out of it.
عادي لو حط اسمه في الجريدة ولا خليه لا no.
Okay, keep his name out.
Yes.
Okay, I will keep his name out.
Yes, out.
Okay, I will keep his name out. But what does he want to say? What does he want to say to the people?
ايش بتحب تحكي يعني اللي صار فيك او ايش الاحداث اللي ما صارت اللي ضربوك وسبوا عليك ايش بتحب تحكي؟
والله انا ضربوني كثير.
يعني ضربوك هم كان معهم حق او انك انت كنت مظلوم.
والله مظلوم. انا فيش علي ذنب.
He said I'm honest. They catch this guy from the street. He didn't do anything in this conflict or this clash.
This, anything else you want to say?
بدك تحكي اي شيء ثاني او انه in the court they hate him. In the residence he hates him.
Damn, did he damn, that's bad. That's really bad.
It's very worse.
How does this affect him? Does he feel هذا يؤثره?
هذا يعني حس شيء بنفسيتك يعني صارت هيك مختلفة مش كرهت حدا صرت نفسيتك تعبانة. He is affected. I think he is affected. He is affected in this.
How about in his mind?
about يعني انه عن يعني في دماغك ضل اشي يعني انت متذكر كل شيء هسه. I think he remember that. he did he cannot forget it. هو he's يعني انه do يعني كيف بقول لك consult in his mind. in hospital.
All right, in that video, we have a 14-year-old child
14-year-old child. A
in
14-year-old
prison,
child.
imprisoned 10 to 14 days, deprived of water, food, and bathroom privileges 2 days straight, was beaten on all parts of the body. One officer took his firearm and discharged the firearm near his feet in order to induce fear and anxiety upon him. I'm looking at the affidavit that I wrote down. Okay, we've got that. And when he was picked up and arrested, here in the information I have, he swears and attests to his innocence. He had no involvement in the melee in Gaza camp. He does not understand why he was arrested. And finally, there was no evidence or charges presented to him and his family when he was picked up and detained.
Okay, so I'm going to recap. So that way we're both on the same page, and the viewers, you're also listening to this. You heard it for yourself. It was translated for you. This child is 14 years old. Yes, there was clashes going on in the Gaza camp between protesters and police, but this particular 14-year-old child had nothing to do with that. He claims he has nothing to do with that, and he claims that he's being honest and saying the truth. And he was arrested, and he was mistreated. We've got a 14-year-old child who was not in the clashes. He says he's being honest. He's innocent. He did nothing. Said the police was hitting him. Also, Siraj added on to the gunshots near the child's feet to intimidate him. Really nice, Jordan. This is really nice of you. Thank you very much for treating this child like this, because now this child is not going to forget. He said it himself. He's not going to forget. So if we create a youth to have a hostile feeling against law enforcement or government, you're doing it yourself. That's the truth. That's the truth. He said he's sore from being hit. 14-year-old child. Now, even if the child was in these clashes, wouldn't that not be his parents' responsibility to be kicking his ass for it? Not the police. That's police brutality against a child. Against a child.
That's a 14-year-old. I don't have video of the 16-year-old. He's afraid, but I do have his affidavits in front of me.
Okay.
So this 16-year-old was also subjected to beatings, except for the fact that his was an extraneous circumstance in that he reports, according to his testimony, that a shoe was taken off the foot of a law enforcement officer, and he was smacked several times with the shoe in his face, and the shoe was shoved down his throat as if to induce the feeling of suffocation. This particular juvenile is 16 years of age. He is not from Gaza camp. He is in fact a resident outside of Gaza camp. So he doesn't even live in Gaza camp. They just happen to pick him up and charge him and beat the heck out of him and shove a shoe down his mouth as if to suffocate him. He also reported going 2 days straight without bathroom privileges, food, and water.
So they probably had the kids together, interrogating them. And then I'm just implying, I'm just asking a question, what could be, okay? It's when I'm hearing this, I'm thinking, you know, and this is not uncommon in the Middle East. It's not uncommon for the government to treat this way. I think if anybody who's ever followed Tunisia, Bahrain, Egypt, Palestine, this is not uncommon for this to happen. So the truth is even more so there for you. The thing is that it's not called out enough. And I'm sorry that it has to be, I'm very, very sorry that it has to be a continuous thing, to where people start thinking, oh, well, that's normal. It's not normal. You don't treat, I don't, it makes it even worse is because these are children. Yes, they're teenage children. Yes, they're teenage children that could be adolescent, whatever, but you still do not treat a human being in this way. This does not give you honor. You're there to protect these children. You're there to protect the citizens, the people of Jordan, including Gaza Camp. So what is your problem, Jordan? To the Jordan government and to the Jordan law enforcement, what is your problem? You don't want to have to deal with these adolescent kids growing up to be big protesters that are going to protest and clash for days, but yet you want to intimidate them, beat them, and mistreat them, and wonder why when they get older that they have a grudge. Excuse me, you're creating the grudge when you do things like this. And every time, I don't know about anybody else, any other activists, but if it comes this way, it's going to be shown. I don't care. I have the right to show it. I have the right to stand up as a person, as another human being, and say this person, this human being was mistreated. And I will do it every time. I will do it every time.
All right, we've got another video you want to show. Any video you can choose.
Okay. I have one of the injuries, and I'm going to show that. This one is a 17-second one. So I may show it twice, okay? This is, and then after you see it, then you can let us know exactly, because you were there, okay?
خلص next.
هذه العمليات شايف هذه العمليات الخاصة ايش اول ما عمل
خلص next.
ولا بدنا نسوي شيء.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to redo it because the thing didn't come up.
لما نزل القوات الخاصة
خلص next.
هذه العمليات شايف هذه العمليات الخاصة ايش اول ما عمل
خلص next.
ولا بدنا نسوي شيء.
Okay. So there we have. So there we have near the collarbone and the wrist. So probably where they had him tied, and also hitting him on the collarbone. Which child is this, or was it somebody else?
Now this is I would say a young adolescent or an adult, young adult, around the 20 years of age. This was actually not a prisoner. He was a bystander.
Oh, he was a bystander.
He reported, according to his affidavit, his crime was he reported asking the police why his relative or something was being arrested, and he asked for some kind of paper like a warrant, and also what evidence they had. No answers or no responses were given to him, and he testifies that the police then began to beat him as he was asking, out of concern for another person being arrested, what was happening, and this is the treatment that he was subjected to for just being a concerned citizen.
So in other words, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it again, they beat his ass because he was asking why one of his family members were being arrested.
Yeah, it's like if I saw you being arrested and I asked for warrant and evidence and where are you taking her out of concern for your welfare, they would beat the hell out of me, correct?
Right, okay. And this was a 20-year-old. So this is not, let's verify this, one of the children. This is a young adolescent who was manhandled and brutally manhandled by the Jordanian police because he was asking why a family member was being arrested. So be careful, everybody, because if you ask in Jordan why somebody's being arrested, you could get the same thing. to a civilian. So let's go on to the next one, I think. This one is more of, it's the 3-minute 47-second one.
Okay.
So we'll go through that.
Go ahead, ask him how old he is.
ايش قديش عمرك وايش اسمك؟
How many days did he stay in jail?
كم يوم قاعد في السجن؟ 10 days.
Did they torture him or do anything? Insult him? Torture him?
ضربوك وسبوا عليك جوا السجن ما ضربوك. In prison he didn't slap or hurt him. But after that, when he catch,
When they caught him?
Yes.
What did they do?
ايش سووا فيك لما مسكوك اول ما مسكوك؟ ضربوك بايش عصي؟ وين ضربوك؟ They put their foot in his body.
Where on his body?
اي مكان بالضبط في جسمك.
Sorry about that, everyone.
On? On his face?
On his face, yes.
في صور مصورين طلبوا منا صور
You have انت معك عندك صور يعني؟ عندك انت؟
صور بالعين
موجودة عندك؟ He have a picture about
في تقرير طبي
he has a report, a medical report, and he have a picture about this about hate.
What was the evidence they have against him? ايش؟
ايش اللي حطوا لك اياه على يعني ضدك؟ ايش مسكوك كنت انت بتطبش ولا برضه
من بيت اخوي
No, they catch it from brother's house.
That's why
He didn't do anything in this
انا وياك على الاشاره وجينا مع بعض اتذكر في تليفون صار بيني وبينه لما كان على الشارع
He
الرئيسي
called you.
So,
He called you, yes.
so, but that was the evidence? That's the dalil?
Yes, that's the evidence.
هم ساكنين انا ساكن ورا البيت شفت الشارع الرئيسي
He's behind my house.
And they just took him because
Yes,
this?
yes.
Did you ask them, why are you taking me?
انت سألتم ليش مسكوه؟ ليش مسكتون؟ ليش تمسكوا لي؟
في عندهم سؤال
He didn't any question.
Did you have problems with them before?
في كان عليك مشاكل
With police or anybody?
مع الحكومه
لا he didn't.
Does he want to say anything to the audience? American audience, everybody?
بتحكي اي شيء اللي هو المستمعين الامريكان لحقوق الانسان.
احنا بنحكي انه هاي مش معامله يعني انت لقيت القبض على انسان ما بصيرش انه مثلا خلص انك تسوي معه زي هيك
سبوا عليك كثير؟
إيه.
زي ايش المسبات اللي سبوهم؟
المسبات من شرفك حميم فياسكو
اختك امك شرفك حمين انت يا اسطى.
وانتو واحد بجيبك
This affect him? How did this affect him? كيف هذا يؤثر؟
اثر عليك، كيف اثر عليك يعني اثر عليك؟
نفسية
His mind?
اثر عليك يعني في عقلك بل لسه متذكر الاحداث اللي صارت كليتها او انه خلص. He's affected about his mind and his
Thank you.
and his
أنا آسف جدا.
Okay, Siraj. So this is another gentleman who is just an innocent bystander.
Correct.
And he said that he has images and he also has a medical report. Do you have those?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This guy is, I'd known him before. He's always a very positive spirit. Every time I see him, he has a smile. And it was, when I was interviewing the prisoners, it kind of broke my heart to see him. Because I didn't know he was one of the people in prison, and I had known him before. and always bright, always had a smile. For me to see him, it just was a shock because not violence would be the last thing I expect, even throwing a rock or cursing. The guy is very polite, very sincere, very humble. Just total shock when I saw him in front of me while I was interviewing all the prisoners.
Hmm. Well, the thing is that I'm thinking also is, it's very devastating to hear that people are being treated this way. But on top of that, we have to think, and I want the viewers to understand this. As these things are happening, there are family members, there are children watching these things. And it goes beyond just the victim who actually has, there's many victims. People, family members who had to watch this. This gentleman particularly was at his brother's house, and for no reason at all, because he was outside, whatever the case may be, and him stating, I wasn't doing anything. Then all of a sudden he has Jordanian police coming up, manhandling him, and then taking him. Now, what I was going to ask is, it was asked in the video what he wanted to say to the American people or to the public, to the audience. And he said something, but the translator didn't say. Can you tell us what he said?
Basically, he just said, I have it here in front of me, but basically he was just saying the same thing which you said. Let me check. Basically that he was an innocent bystander. This thing shouldn't happen. And it has affected him personally and psychologically as well, and physically.
Okay.
And it's just
And
basic things like that.
right. And I'm pretty sure that, um, that it took a emotional toll on the people that were around him when he was being manhandled by the police. I mean, you have to, let me put a mindset for people who are in the West. Here, if someone gets arrested, you have sometimes people in the background, their family members or whatever, that get upset and they're yelling and they're asking the police what the hell's going on, and this does happen here. So I want you to put your mindset on that, and also know that in our own country, when things like this happen, because they do, when things like this happen and people are mistreated by the police, that how that can affect the people even around. So there's more than just one victim that it's happening to. I mean, I would go to saying that now that we're showing this, I'm showing it because it needs to be shown. If you don't catch it on you see it on the camera for yourself. You see the man sitting there telling you this. It's not, propaganda. This is raw footage from video, phone, whatever they videotaped it with, and it's being brought to you. So the thing of nobody knew about it cannot be claimed anymore, because we're showing you. We're showing you this is the truth. This is raw footage. This is these people telling you themselves. What do? Do we stay silent? I, as an activist, and also Siraj being here also live, is not to say, okay, watch this and well, that's too bad, and then off we go. Because if it's going to happen like this time is going to happen another time and another time. And there's a lot more to this story. There is a lot more to this story. We had, what was it, last week, Siraj? We did about the tear gas and things of that sort, right? And this is combined with this. This is the after effect of that innocent people, ended up being hurt, including kids. I mean, some may say, well, they're 14 or 16. They're kids. They're not of age. They're not of legal age yet. They're kids. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Do you have anything else before we go to the next one?
Yeah, the guy in his quote, he said, I'm innocent and I have pain in my heart.
Because, you know, as much as people, I can understand this, and I'm going to add on to that because I want the viewers to understand. This man is going to feel this way because the plain simple fact is that most people in the Middle East are gentle, caring. They're not a bunch of violent people. And they don't live their life this way. Now, if you would take somebody from, as these men here that you see, young men that you're seeing here, bring them into the U.S., and they would not know what to do with some of the crime we have here because they don't live that there. Are there clashes that go on? Are there things that are bad that go on in the Middle East? There's bad things that go on all over. But these people are not, their culture is not on a daily basis trying to fight each other. It's something that, you know, if you have to do that, it's because of a big reason. And if it's hitting and slapping and you know, assaulting verbally or physically, that's a big thing to them. That's a big thing in their culture. And this needs to be understood. That, you know, these people are innocent. They haven't done anything. Because they live in the area? Are they being singled out? Are they being profiled? Because of their race, religion, or whatever the case may be that we, you know, would say here. And I'm speaking to our Western audience. This is the same thing that goes on there. There's nothing different. It's no better here than it is there. It's the same. Now, what I was going to ask you, Siraj, is he said that the police said they had evidence, right? That they could take him and arrest him.
No.
No?
There wasn't any evidence presented to the families of the detainees or to the detainees themselves.
Okay,
and
so
this is a common complaint. I read an article from the past where protesters in East Amman were beaten and also arrested without charges and evidence as well. So this is not something abnormal. It's not an anomaly. It's happened in previous incidents as well.
okay. So this would be just like a stop and frisk in the U.S., right?
No, it'd be a stop.
Beat the hell out of and then frisk.
Discretion. Well, if you put it into context, it would be a police officer, him or herself, would have the discretion to beat the hell out of you, arrest you, and if you complain and ask what charges, you might get a club on the head again.
Right.
So they don't, and then your family, if they ask, as you see with the previous guy, if your family members or friends ask what's wrong, they might get beaten or arrested as well. And then when they take you off, your family and friends are like, what did they arrest him for? Why did they arrest him? What's the evidence? And you have no answer.
Or they turn around and beat the hell out of them too because they asked, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do this next one. It's 18 seconds long. Let me make sure that it's up here. Hope everybody is really paying attention to these. Really.
خلص لف إنه ما بدي
about this.
أصور وجهه بس دوره.
خلاص.
Okay, this one is apparent injury. Before Siraj says anything, I want to let everybody know and keep in mind that these men were in jail from 10 to 14 days, you said, Siraj?
That's correct.
So injuries are going to look a little fainter than what they actually may have been. The soreness and the hurting, they're probably still there. And I just want to point this out. What you see here is, go ahead, Siraj, will you give us some context to what we just saw?
This is an adult here, 34 years of age. He reported being beaten continuously for a period of 2 hours. He was administered electrical shock 3 times during the same period of beatings. I think this guy is psychologically affected because of the fact that his demeanor and his response to questions I would think he probably needs some counseling. And not he's not in a violent manner, but I can tell that he is distrustful of people. He's hurt. You can see it in his face, the pain, the anguish, and the psychological damage. It's very clear if you ever meet him, it's right in his face.
And he would not be someone who would want to talk. Was he willingly to talk about it, or did it kind of? Did
Now
you
I've
have a
got
hard
his
time?
information. I've got his information amongst many I have here in front of me. But while interviewing him, he was displaced. Uh, Sometimes he had to be reminded what the questions were. Um, he didn't smile. Could not get him to smile when we were joking with him. He looked like my opinion was he looked like he just wanted to be taken off the face of the earth and put in another world.
That is so sad. That is so sad. That is really so sad.
I didn't get
Now,
the videos of his his facial expressions and all that I described. I really wish I did, sister, because it was very poignant, and the face and expression said it all. But yeah, they beat him for 2 hours, administered electrical shock at 3 times.
I'm going to say this. We're talking about a Palestinian refugee camp in Jordan. And I'm going to also go ahead and direct, because I know people are watching. To the Jordanian government and your police of law enforcement, don't you think that these people would go back home to their land if they could? If you don't want them there and you want to mistreat them in this camp and you want to seclude them out away from bigger towns and act like they don't exist, then can you get a hold of the right people that are keeping them from going back to their land? So that way you don't have the problem to mistreat them? Because as long as they have to be there because by force for years on end, since what, Siraj, 67?
Yeah, 40.
It's
Yeah,
not their fault
67.
it is not their fault that they had to flee to your country to be mistreated in your country. If you have a problem with that, then you need to talk to the proper people that are keeping them from their homeland. But as far as mistreating these people and abusing these people and not letting them live with any kind of dignity, honor, or respect, even their living conditions, by the way, UN, you need to take a little look about what work needs to be done there. Really. It's not their fault. If you can get them to let them go back to their homeland, then great. Do it. But don't mistreat them while they have to be there. Okay, and I'm sorry for the rant, but these things need to be shown and they need to be said. Because if you keep holding it in, us, the world, Siraj, me, other activists, how many times do we have to yell and how many times do we have to scream? How many times do we all have to rise at the same time for people just to ignore and for everything to just stay the same? We've got children who are living around feces in this camp. We have homes that ain't adequate. We have water that is not clean. The UN is there, right, Siraj?
That's correct.
What the hell are you doing to the UN? What are you doing for these people? What are you doing with people's money that give you your job? Are you doing your job? Because I'm not, from what I've seen in this camp, you're not. You're not.
Sorry about that, sister. I finally gained access to the site.
Okay. Yes, and we've been, we have a lot of Jordanians right now that are not able to get to my site. Do you think we're ignorant? Really? We will not be silenced. I will not be silenced. And each and every time that something comes out. I don't care if I have to be on here every day. I don't care if I have to get Siraj on here every day or anybody else, any activist. We need to stand up. We've helped. We stand up for Gaza. We stand up for the West Bank. Now we need to start standing up also for the Palestinians and the refugee camps and other lands that are being mistreated because they're being ignored and they need some help. We're all human beings. We all have the right to be on this earth and live in dignity and have the respect as we give it. I don't get like this very much, but and I'm sorry, brother, that I'm doing it like this, but I'm not going to hold it in. I'm not going to hold it in. I want people to know. I want people to feel this anger as you see these videos. So we had the 30-year-old who is shocked for 2 hours, beaten, and as you hear Siraj say, it has affected the man because he's not as talkative as he used to be. Would you be? Would you want to talk? Would you be pissed off if somebody did this to you? Yes, I think you would. Would you be pissed off if somebody did this to your family? Yes, you would be. Should you be pissed off because this is a human being who has been treated this way? Yes, you should be. And I hope you are. All right.
I have a report that I've already distributed to UN agencies, Amnesty International, and I think all of the human rights organizations in Jordan. I'd like to briefly just cover it.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, according to the report, and this is a summarization, and it also will omit names because our investigation also ascertained names. Let me make sure the link is clear. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is Gaza Camp. It's full of Palestinian refugees. A large proportion, if not all of them, don't have equal rights as normal Jordanians. They can't own cars. Some of them can't get a driver's license, which is awkward because one of the bail requirements was you had to show a driver's license or pay 1,000 JDs. So that was really crappy. But these people are living in conditions with a dearth of recreational facilities. The sewage sometimes occasionally overflows with defecation in the streets, with kids playing football beside the defecation. The transportation there is very limited, high unemployment rate, no jobs. Education goes to the 10th grade. In order for Gaza residents to go further, they need to have a financial sponsor, and they are not applicable or able to get the scholarships that Jordanian students are able to get. And furthermore, they must pay the tuition of an international student in order to attend a Jordanian university, although they were born in Jordan. Despite being born in Jordan because their parents are from the Gaza camp, they are treated differently. They are the other that's kind of like described outside the suburbs, live in the ghettos. We really don't care for them. Don't come into our neighborhood because our neighborhood is a city on the hill kind of thing. And the common feeling in Gaza camp is that there's a prevalent fear and that their rights are less than Jordanians, and they can be subjected to torture and beatings and harassment. one being Al-Hadidi, known to be a Jordanian, predominantly Jordanian camp, and the other is Gaza Camp. That small brawl between two individuals escalated into a melee between residents of Al-Hadidi and Gaza Camp. The residents of Al-Hadidi traveled to Gaza Camp and began violence against Palestinian refugee youth. There was acts of vandalism and aggression. What led to the deterioration of the situation, in which stones were thrown at the police and the police ended up shooting at the Palestinian refugee youth, was the fact that, according to several reports, there were the Jordanian police on the scene in the beginning, stood by and watched the residents of Al-Hadidi vandalize and fight with the Palestinian youth in Gaza Camp. And they did nothing. They did nothing to stop it. I have two affidavits stating that they witnessed Jordanian police egging on or instigating the violence by Al-Hadidi residents against Palestinian youth in Gaza Camp. That is two affidavits swearing to that. So I don't know if that's true, but two residents have sworn testimony that they witnessed police actually telling Al-Hadidi residents to beat the hell out of Palestinian refugee youth and to burn some of the buildings. And I have three affidavits stating that the police just stood by and did nothing.
Because the police told them to do it, right?
I have two affidavits, yes, I do. Right here in front of me, two affidavits that say they witnessed two different officers egging on the violence and actually instigating it and pushing it forward. I have the name of high-ranking official that is suspect of being intimately involved with bias. I am not going to release his name. I don't need to. The United Nations and Amnesty International and the Jordanian human rights organizations have his name, and he is a high-ranking official. So I'm not going to release his name, but he will be under investigation, as well as those who are under him as well, inshallah. In my report, I specifically state that all of this escalated into a melee because of the fact that the Palestinian youth in Gaza Camp have the perception that the police, the Jordanian police, chose to side with the Al-Hadidi residents. Because of that perception, everything escalated into what is, what happened, with the police being called 30 to over 5 armored personnel carriers, 30 to 50 heavily armed police officers. It didn't even get to that point, and it wouldn't have gotten to that point unless it wouldn't have gotten to that point had, according to all the inhabitants, the perception of the police siding with the Al-Hadidi residents, had that not happened, it might not have gotten to this point.
So they made it worse. They made it worse instead of better by going there.
Yes, and I don't believe there would be anything in the news. There wouldn't be any kids arrested had that perception or those accusations been addressed immediately. I'm not going to say comment on the veracity of them. All I can say is all of the interviews we engaged in indicated it was a Palestinian-Jordanian brawl between two people in two different geographical locations, and it occurred inside of Gaza Camp, where the refugees live, the Palestinian refugees. Also, many people, almost all of the interviewees, have indicated that the police did side with the Al-Hadidi residents. There are two unconfirmed reports. One involves the high-ranking official I named, stating that his relative is...
Okay, so we've lost audio. Just all of a sudden. This is, you there?
Yeah, I'm here too.
Okay, you need to restate it, because I think we just were messed with, because right when you, and this is being recorded, just because it's live, and the live keeps going on and off every once in a while, does not mean that it's not being recorded. So it will be uploaded afterwards in full. If you miss anything, you're live right now and you miss anything, we will have this loaded up. But Siraj, I want you to go ahead and say what you said again about the high-ranking official, because right when you were getting ready to say it, your voice cut out.
Okay, I'm not going to mention the high-ranking official's name. It's not necessary, but his name has already have been distributed to UN organizations and Amnesty International and other human rights organizations. So I'm not going to mention his name, but because his relative is from Al-Hadidi village, many Palestinian youth view the fact that his relative being one of the antagonists involved in the melee was the impetus behind Jordanian police choosing to side with the Al-Hadidi residents, the Jordanian residents in Al-Hadidi village.
Okay.
Okay, those are unconfirmed reports, and there is also a video that we're still trying to track down where a shop owner claimed he had taken video of one of the officers folding his arms and just standing by as residents from Al-Hadidi began to vandalize the shops and fight with the Palestinian youth. That is an unconfirmed report. We're still trying to track the video down.
Okay.
And according to my report, after the initials, the police, okay, it is our belief that the police response was very, very unnecessary. The large amounts of police presence, which includes 5 armored personnel carriers, 30 to 50 heavily armed and geared officers. What transpired in Gaza Camp was an occupation. The main streets of Gaza Camp were cordoned off, and the average Samaritan was not allowed to go and leave without the discretion of individual high-ranking officers at certain checkpoints. Shops, schools, and the dearth of available recreational public facilities were closed down to the public. All of the conditions summarized in occupation. That fact and the perception of the Jordanian police siding with the Jordanians from Al-Hadidi village, that's what caused everything to break down, and that's why we have this event in the newspapers.
Okay.
While I am in another house, we had to walk upstairs, and only by walking to the second floor could the smell of tear gas be avoided. So that's how much tear gas was used. In addition, we have evidence demonstrating that tear gas was shot in close proximity to one of the mosques, interrupting Friday prayers, as those praying inside immediately stopped and evacuated the mosque because the tear gas blown into the mosque was unbearable.
So it was blown into the mosque purposely, or
no? The tear gas was shot so close to the mosque, the tear gas went into the mosque, and while people were performing prayers, they had to stop praying and leave the mosque.
Okay. I just wanted to get my notes right and clarify.
We have pictures of that as well. I and others of my team attest that certain individuals not active in the conflict were injured with rubber bullets and tear gas canisters. Such victims range from youth to elderly. Injuries include lacerations, deep red abrasions, severely bruised joints and body parts, and wounds which drew significant loss of blood. In one picture, a man urinated on himself after being shot at close range. We have in our possession canisters with warning labels to not use after validity date, yet there is no expiration date on the canisters. The reasons of concern are that some chemical experts claim it is dangerous to use such tear gas after the expiration date, and as you pointed out, sister, I put it in the report as well. A canister with such an aforementioned warning label, but no expiration date, may lead one to assume the canisters are altered and not original tear gas canisters. I placed that in the report, what you mentioned. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Though it seems the policy of law enforcement may have in fact been to not shoot directly at individuals protesting, my team and I observed numerous instances where such decorum was broken. There are also unverified reports that protesters were shot at from rooftops by snipers and shot at close range by tear gas canisters, though these claims have not been verified.
But are common. I just
Other
want to add that.
unconfirmed
It is common for them to do this. I just wanted to add that. Sorry, brother.
All right. Other unconfirmed reports entail occasional discharge of live firearms by police in Al-Hadidi restaurant residents. Again, that's unconfirmed. Those are just reports by one or two individuals. There are also unverified reports that those protesters caught by Jordanian police were subsequently encircled by large numbers of officers against walls and beat by fists, sticks, shields, and shot at point-blank range just before being detained and removed to law enforcement vehicles.
Okay, shot at point-blank range with, some people call them unlethal weapons, but they are lethal rubber-covered bullets.
That is correct.
Okay.
And we have many affidavits attesting to that.
Okay. We have a video. I have a video up of one of the injuries on that also. Or the tear
All right,
gas.
Yeah. Okay. The melee, which lasted for days, finally expired when police retreated to the eastern portion of the camp. It appeared that conditions of occupation were alleviated as schools and shops and recreational areas were reopened. However, the sense of security and satisfaction that the conflict was subsiding came to an abrupt end as reports began rushing out of Gaza camp that residents were being assaulted and dragged from their homes in front of their families, unexpectedly snatched from the streets without reason, as in a kidnapping, and bystanders who complained of these arrests were subsequently assaulted or arrested too. In all the interviews, many of the family indicated they had no evidence presented to them, no idea why their relatives or family members were arrested. Everyone that I and my team witnessed fighting with the Jordanian police were not adults. They were youth. They were young age people and adolescents. Therefore, when I saw the video of the 34-year-old, the one that was very psychologically affected, I believe part of the damage to his psychology may be, in fact, because he is innocent. Definitely innocent, because of all the people I and my team witnessed, there were no adults. They were all youth. So when I heard that some of the people in prison were adults, it raised certain alarm bells, because within 2 days of staying in the camp, witnessing all of this intense violence, it was just kids. I didn't see any adults, nor any of my team we didn't see any adults. So it should really be looked into in regards to the innocence of especially those adults that were arrested, because we didn't see any in 2 days.
What I want to do also is I'm going to go to the just so that our viewers know exactly what is going on. I'm going to go to the another collective consciousness, and I'm going to show some of this video also of, like you said, that there was nothing but youth there, because you have video of this. So we might as well go ahead and spread it again and show it again, because I'm just going to keep on doing it. I keep on doing shows like this every time I have to until it's stopped, until these people get some help. I mean, this is not right. It wasn't right when it was done in Tunisia. It wasn't right when it was done in Egypt. It wasn't right when it was done in Libya, and it's not right doing it now to anybody else. It's even happened here in the U.S. I mean, the people have the right to protest. Okay, well, this started off as a personal, fight between two guys. Okay, well, the police come in and provoke it to be something where they have to protest that their village is being hijacked by other people who are kind of pissed off, and then have the police back them up and make it even worse. They're not supposed to fight back? Are you kidding me? Really?
Well, these are youth. There should be no men in the jails, and there are. All 2 days, sister, watching who was throwing the rocks. I know them. If you brought a youth in front of me and said, "Did this one throw a rock?" I would probably plead the Fifth Amendment because I care so much about those refugees that I'd rather be punished instead of them.
Right.
But I could tell which ones did or did not, and definitely there were no men in that crowd throwing rocks.
Right.
I did not see that 2 days.
And I'll make sure I show that. Let me show these quick videos real quick. Since we're at it, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show the videos. This one here is of the innocent bystander, older man, who ends up getting hurt because shot directly with the tear gas can, and he was doing nothing but merely sitting watching the crashes. He's innocent bystander.
This is from a gas grenade canister. He was injured by a gas grenade fired by the police. Right here, you're going to take a look. Those are the types of injuries that the residents are suffering here at their admin. How did he get this?
From gas grenade.
Yeah, but was he throwing rocks too?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He's an innocent casualty, so you were hit. So he was hit because he was just standing beside or just walking in the street. He was hit because he was walking in the street.
Okay, so we have that one. Now I'm gonna go and show you the video to where Siraj is telling you that there wasn't any adults. It was mostly young men, youth, that were throwing rocks, etc., and crashing with the police. But now the thing is with this is that now the thing is that there are adult men who are in jail. They're not letting them out. Nobody really knows why they're not letting them out, but the claim is that these people have been beaten. Excuse me. They have been beaten and sustain injuries of broken bones and also broken, even to the point of broken teeth. So I'm thinking activist term is that they're not being released because of the fact that they do have these injuries. And perhaps, I don't know, Siraj, let me ask this. Has anybody went to go and see what the charges on these people are? Would they be that extensive of charges that they would still be in there?
Oh, yeah. I think there were distribution of government charges, official charges. So eventually people did understand why they were being arrested.
Okay.
But at the very moment of arrest, it has to be a very awful and terrifying feeling to see someone you love or a friend being picked up and arrested by the police and not being provided any answer or any kind of written document stating the reasons as to why.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be fair, because the truth is the truth, that these people may have done something that was illegal, but they still, does this give the police officers, what I would ask to the public to think about, is does this give the right for the police officers to, and this is just a claim, it's not confirmed yet, but the claims are, is it confirmed or not that these injuries have came?
Which injuries?
The broken bones and broken teeth, loss of teeth?
That is unconfirmed.
Okay.
I have to see it to, when I see it, I will definitely confirm it. But
okay.
since
So
they're in jail, there's no way to confirm it.
Yep. This is what I want to clarify, is that these are the claims and they're unverified. But these are the claims. So their families are hearing this, their friends are hearing this, they're on the outside, and you know, it could be rumor. We don't know, but the claims are there and they are public. So Here is a video showing you the youth that was actually in the clashes, showing that there was hardly, if not any adult men. Again, I will do it. Okay. Another one here is, I think this is where, Siraj, you go up and, you want me to play that one where you went up or walked up?
No, we don't need that.
Okay, so...
I want to talk about the topic of media bias, if I can.
Yes, go ahead. Let's do that.
In the report that I administered to the United Nations and Amnesty International and various organizations, it says here, in the beginning of this conflict, one of my colleagues was held responsible for contacting media activists and organizations. The Jordan Times, in addition to some other media, along with a percentage of human rights activists in Jordan, refused to help and aid the situation. Instead, the proceeding marginalized the predicament by ignoring the significance of the event or via disingenuously claiming it was just a minor brawl between Jordanians against Jordanians or Palestinians against Palestinians. The Jordan Times led my colleague to believe they were going to publish the story, but it is his description of what transpired between him and the Jordan Times as betrayal. Furthermore, there is a tacit yet unanimous consensus from every single interview and conversation between my team and Gaza Camp residents that demonstrate it was a conflict between Jordanians and Palestinians from two different villages. There is not one dissenting opinion to any assertion that this was a Palestinian against Palestinian or Jordanian against Jordanian hostility. In addition, it is either incredulous or surprising that so many politicians, news outlets, and police supervisors claimed not knowing anything about the conflict in Gaza Camp when contacted, despite the fact smaller and struggling news agencies were publishing the news of this event and there's such a large presence and violence which was occurring in Gaza Camp. There is no proof to assert whether this was due from intentional marginalization, lack of communication infrastructure in Jordan, or plain negligence. Nevertheless, the story originally broke through the news in honest establishments such as Amman News, and Gaza Camp ascertained aid from a few dedicated activists.
We're having a problem again, Siraj.
Did you get all of that, or did I break up? Because my connection, I know, is bad.
Just at the end. Just at the end. Everything else we got.
But then nevertheless?
Yes.
Okay, so I said, there is no proof to assert whether this was due from intentional marginalization or lack of communication infrastructure in Jordan, or just plain negligence. Nevertheless, the story originally broke the news in honest establishments such as the Amman News, and Gaza Camp residents ascertained aid from a few dedicated activists. So there were a group of people that seemed to not want to touch the issue for what determinants and impetus it may be. That is their prerogative, and I don't care. I just know that I, my team, and some very good activists, we did the right thing. And as you see in the videos, what we did was the right thing, and there were, unfortunately, human rights activists and news establishments that either chose not to participate in providing the story of this injustice, or just didn't want to become involved in it.
Right.
And I don't know what their reasons are.
Right. And even I just want to give an outside looking in. By no way means am I trying to be biased. The thing is, yes, I am an activist, and yes, I would call out things that I think I should stand up for. And I have spoke many times we've done another show with Siraj about this also, and I feel confident enough as an activist to stand up and stand behind him and the Gaza camp 100%, and that won't be locked. I will not change my mind. Um, as far as people reporting on this, this is news. I don't see how you can deny news. People were hurt here. The police had to be there. So wouldn't it be something that, why would you not? The Jordan Times, is that what you said, Siraj?
Yeah, Max was led to believe they would publish the story, and everything he told me made me believe it too. I was shocked because many residents in Jordan claim that it's a government mouthpiece, but Max was led to believe by direct contact he had with somebody affiliated with them that we would be able to publish a story, and then it turned from being able to publish a story to most likely if they're going to publish a story to check to the belief that it was published, and finally it came to the point where they didn't answer our phone calls or we couldn't make contact with them. So I was very disappointed in the Jordan Times.
Okay, so to the Jordan Times, thank you very much for your non-effort. We appreciate that. We got this. It'll get out. It's okay because, and I take it Jordanian Times is mainstream, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so then there you go. To our viewers, that shows you what some of us don't know, and if you don't know, then I'm going to let you know now. The mainstream is bought, paid for. They do. That's why we're here, because they're bought and paid for. They report on what they're paid to do. Well, we do it for free, and it will come out. So thank you anyway, Jordanian Times. Anything else, Siraj?
Yeah, I'm going to come to a conclusion, but I'm sharing the report that's in the possession of Amnesty International and other human rights organizations, including the United Nations, and believe me, they're going to take a closer look at this after this report.
Yes, because we will keep on them until they do, and maybe even more than that. Because
to do a recap, I'm going to do a quick recap of the violations of the prisoners. This doesn't include the allegations involved in the melee in which people were shot at close range by rubber bullets, tear gas canisters, and whatnot. So this is the recap of the violations which need to be investigated for the prisoners. Number 1 is continuous beatings with fists, sticks, and blunt objects for a length of 2 hours. Number 2, discharging of firearms beside the feet or body parts to induce fear and shock. Imprisonment of underage children, electrical shock to certain body parts. One adult prisoner of 34 years of age claimed he was shocked 3 times in a row for a period of 2 minutes length. On each electrically administered shock, he was being beaten by others surrounding him.
Okay, hold on 1 second, because you cut out.
Water, and bathroom privileges.
You cut out. What it said is that he was being beaten, because I got it, I'm listening inside. But he was being beaten continuously, not only by being shocked by someone, but also by several different officers at the same time. Okay, go ahead. I'm
Correct.
Sorry.
And number 4 is deprivation of food, water, and bathroom privileges for 2 consecutive days. Number 5.
To minors.
And this is really... And yeah, this number 5 is just, this is like kicking somebody after they've lost a fight. It's really shameful. People should be really ashamed of this kind of stuff. And to do these things to refugees, people who don't have the rights and abilities to stand up for themselves, it's horrible, it's horrendous. I never thought anybody could have such a lack of conscience. But number 5 is insults and threats to family members and friends of the incarcerated. That's just a real low blow. Number 6, shoes taken off the soles of officers and shoved down the throats, mouths to provoke the feeling of near suffocation and death. Number 7,
Okay,
prisoners
hold
were
on.
detained.
1 minute. On number 6, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reply. The fact is, and that for all the Western people, the shoe going into the mouth, any kind of shoe being picked up, that is so much of an insult and disrespectful for it to be done in this part of the world. I want to express that and let the viewers know that. This would be my lower than low in my mind and in my heart as being someone who's been in the Middle East. You do not pick up your shoe at anyone, let alone shove it down somebody's throat to try to take their breath. That is an insult. That is an insult to the fullest in this culture. So I just wanted to add that and put that into the viewer's mind. Go ahead.
One 16-year-old claimed he thought he was going to die from suffocation from this very tactic. Number 7, prisoners were detained with restraints that were non-standard. Not wrist ties, not handcuffs. One reported he was wrapped up in rope or some kind of material that was very harmful to his wrists. I still have yet to figure out what that was, but I'll keep looking and investigating until I find out what in the world was used.
Okay, that's interesting.
Number 8, all prisoners reported that during the torture there were no questions being asked. In other words, their abuse was motivated by punishment instead of attempting to ascertain information.
In other words,
Number 9,
hold on. Let me go on to 8 because you cut out. And what Siraj had said is that the victims of the police brutality that was being held against some of the victims that were arrested, and yes, I'm calling them victims because they are.
They are.
The victims of the police brutality from the Jordanian police were not, the victims weren't asking the police questions or asking them why they, weren't, what would you say, how would we say it, weren't resisting arrest, but they were beaten and they were hurt. So, okay, number 9.
Yeah, they were beaten and not asked questions, and this is similar to complaints in the past. In fact, Amnesty International, I believe, has already documented this in their report from previous incidents where detainees have not been asked information for the value of information. I mean, they were punished and tortured. They were detained and tortured because it was a form of punishment, not because security was trying to ascertain information which was valuable. So that's something Amnesty, I think, documented in the past, and it happened again in this incident. They were punished. They weren't beaten for any information. Number 9, all prisoners report that they were detained without evidence or reason for a period of 10 to 14 days without knowledge of charges and evidence brought against them being given to their family immediately at the time of arrest.
Okay.
Those are the
Can I ask you a question?
violations I witnessed.
Okay. Can I ask you a question about that? Now, here in the U.S., you have some kind of court system that lets you have a lawyer or whatever. Do they have something like this in Jordan? I mean, what is their protocol for when someone is arrested? What is their rights? They have none, or a family member maybe go in and see what the charges are and have them charges, and if they ain't charged, they could be released, or, I think I'm going to research that also. Is because, if they're holding people for 10 to 14 days and won't even tell the family or the person they've arrested why they've arrested them, and they're just sitting in there for no reason at all. What if we have somebody with a medical problem, that needs to see a doctor or whatever, and nobody can get a hold of these people or see if they're okay? I mean, it's just something to think about,
You would have to speak to Ahmed about it because Ahmed was dealing with that process more than me.
Okay.
I was the one just documenting all these human rights violations.
Okay.
but he was intimately involved in that aspect.
Okay.
So these are the, and like I said, many of the Gaza camp residents and those recently released indicate that the remaining in jail that are incarcerated are suffering from worse injuries, and of course reports of broken teeth and bones.
Okay, and that's unconfirmed as of right now.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
So
In the report,
okay, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
In the report, we ask that corrections be made to the law enforcement policies in order to deter such abuses to the physical welfare of refugees in Gaza camp for the future. We also demand that those who perpetrated such infringement of human rights be reprimanded and an apology be publicly announced in order to preserve and reinstate the dignity of the refugees of Gaza camp and to foster or engender a trust and respect by the refugees for the fairness and equal treatment from the Jordanian law enforcement and government. We also hope that possible financial compensation be granted towards the innocent victims of medical, physical, and mental damage as a result of this tragic and shameful episode. We also hope that further investigations be made and are welcome in order to discover and dispel the accuracy behind the facts of this erratic and non-normative event that recently occurred in Gaza camp. What was observed in Gaza camp brought recollections of the race riots between whites and blacks in Elaine, Arkansas in 1919, Omaha, Nebraska in 1919, Chicago, Illinois of 1919, Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 1920s, and more during the Great Depression. Such phenomena occurs when economic challenges arise, and ignoring justice and refraining from granting dignity only pours gasoline onto a powder keg, which could be lit in the future again. Those are the demands that we're asking for the victims and for the other people, other refugees living in Gaza camp.
Okay. I just want to jump in just 1 second and want to, anybody who's out there who is my Facebook friend or whatever, if you can for me, for myself and Siraj, I see that we're being knocked on and off from Ustream, so what I'm going to ask is that if you are not already doing it, is that the counting until we're finished with this interview is to count how many times that this Ustream goes off and then comes back on. Because in a normal thing, I will let everybody know, on a normal way, it doesn't just go off and then come back on. We're not on mobile, as it's just done right now, as I'm speaking, and now it's came back on. I have this recording on my own system, and it will be in full and it will be uploaded. So if you miss anything, I'm sorry for the complications. I have an idea why we're having these complications. I cannot confirm it at this time, but at a later date, if I can, I will confirm it. But this is not being done by us. This is happening, and it's not normal. So I just wanted to put that in there.
All right, I'm going to end with the conclusion of the report, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
There were some in this recent conflagration who stood in silence, claiming that there was nothing which could be done to counter the strong-armed or excessive abuse by the Jordanian law enforcement because Palestinians have less rights in Jordan. Some of them famous and of notable prestige whom I also admired in the past. My reply to all of them, which I share with you, is that after 5 years of being a human rights activist and former on the rights of even one refugee for me. Far too many have died and lost their families and homes, and too much have endured tribulations which the normal human fails to fathom. All they have left is their dignity. After 5 years of sacrificing and fighting for the improvement of the Palestinian dilemma, the Palestinians have taught me there is no price for that last personal possession.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Okay. So we also have the stream bot in here, which is usually done. It's not that common. I don't think. I think I've only had the Ustream bot in my chat a few times. So maybe I can get a hold of the techie there with Ustream and find out why our broadcast here has been going on and off several times since we started. But we're going to wrap it up. This has been a 2-hour interview. The last time it was very nice with Siraj to do an interview also, and that one was about 2 hours too. We uploaded that one on YouTube, as we will this one. You've heard exactly what Siraj has said. Siraj was there. Unfortunately, I do want to correct. I'm not going to correct myself. I'm going to add on to what I said about the Jordanian times. And I'm going to put it this way because it could be a reason why, just to be fair. When things like this happen and they're exposed, and being just a mainstream journalist or reporter, you do run into problems of where there have been journalists who have been arrested in Jordan because of bringing out something, that maybe the government didn't want them to know. So I will give them that benefit of the doubt for not covering this. Thank you, but no thank you. All that needed to be said was that they wouldn't do it, or they weren't arrested, or whatever the case may be, not to lead on and then perhaps not do it. There are media outlets out here that have nothing to do with mainstream, as the one here, and there's even ones bigger than Lunar Live Media Network. Let me guarantee you that 100%. We're not the best, but we are here, and we will report every time and any time we need to. So we're going to conclude here, and I want to thank Brother Siraj for being with us today and taking the time, and thanking him for the love and passion and so heartfelt passion for the Gaza camp. And I know we do have some people from Gaza camp listening and watching. I love you. I'm thinking of you. I stand behind you. Whenever you need us, we are here. Again, I just want to put out there also, we're not going to leave this alone. We're not going to just let it go past and without anything being done and nothing being said. So Saturday at 12 o'clock, we will be again on to Vanvu, me and Siraj, and we will talk about the Gaza camp in Jordan, and we will also talk about other Middle East happenings and topics. I invite everybody to come there. Going to host it, like I said, it starts at 12. I don't know what time it will end. This is totally interactive. You can come in and have your say. There are webcams, there are the chat, and if you I'll tweet it out. You could see it onto the main page if you don't have Twitter, or if you don't have a Facebook. I will make sure that it's on the main page in our tweets. And I just want to thank everybody who is listening and paying attention. If you're watching this later after and you didn't watch it live, and you're watching the record after we upload it, thank you very much for taking the time to care. We cannot let any human being, any person be treated like this. And we can't always just think that they're wrong and that they're saying a lie or it isn't happening. This is the claims of the people of the Gaza camp. And until everything that I've seen has proven, things that have not been confirmed are left as not confirmed. But what we can confirm is bad enough. So I'm hoping that The others are rumors. We're going to close for now. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. And we will have more on this, and we will have more shows like this. We'll be tweeting them out. Thank you. Salam.